Hi, my name's Tracy Sipple, and I wanted to put together a quick Zoom tutorial for you as a reference on how to use the materials, the tools, and how to share materials. So let's get started. First thing I'd like to demonstrate or show you is the calendar welcome. That's what I refer to this page as. This is where you're going to schedule your meetings or your sessions. So I recommend that you click on the schedule button, and up at the top it asks you what you want to call this meeting. This is typically where I would put in the client's initials, not their first or last names. You don't want to enter any specific identifying information in here due to confidentiality reasons. So I'm just going to put the initials AT. I'm going to say that those are the initials for my fictitious client. The start date, I'm going to say I'm going to have to start tomorrow, August 21st, and our sessions, you can click on the up and down arrows to change the time and whether it's AM or PM, those types of things. So I'm going to say 2 o'clock, starting Tuesday, April 21st. The duration, you can set for whatever. To get the 0 for the hour, you just have to scroll up a little bit. It tends to just show from the 1 down. And then for the minute, you can do 15, 30, or 45. Always check to make sure that your time zone component is correct. And I'm in Central Time Zone, so that is. And I'm going to click Recurring Meeting because I want to set this meeting up for my clients each week. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. This gives you the information just to remember, a reminder to look at the recurrence part of the invitation when it takes you to it, which will be the next step after we finish with this screen. I choose my personal meeting ID each time because I want to use the same meeting for the student. And otherwise, if I generate it automatically, it's going to be a different meeting number for each and every session. I'm also requiring a meeting password. You may or may not have this capability available to you. I own my own account, so I can go back in the back end of it and change this and set this up. If the school district or your company has not established that command for you or that request for you, then you won't see it here. Video, I want to have it off when I join, and I would like it to be off for my participants as well when they join the meeting. And I always use the telephone and computer audio under the audio because that includes a telephone number that is sent with the invitation link. That way, if the client has difficulties connecting, that type of thing, they can, or are unable to hear you, they can call through the phone number that's provided with the invitation to make the audio part of the connection available. And calendar, I have a Google Calendar, and that's where I want it to list these for me. So I'm going to click Schedule. I'm going to skip over advanced options. There's a few things in there that I don't want to change. And I don't know if you would have access to those anyway, depending on what you're doing and using the calendar for. Okay, so I'm going to click Schedule. And then it takes me to, it asks me, because I have a number of different Zoom accounts, which one I want to use. And it's asking for permission to access my Google Calendar and to use the link. So I'm going to say yes. Okay, and it took me to the calendar, and this is actually the full invitation. When I clicked on that recurring box and it said make sure you check the recurring meeting in the invitation, this is the page it's referring to. So you see I have the initials AT at the top. I have the date. I wanted to start April 21st, which happens to be tomorrow, and I set at 2 o'clock for 30 minutes. So it set that all up. Just double check my time zone here to make sure it's correct. And here's where we set the recurring part of it. It says does not repeat. But if I click on the caret next to it, it offers to repeat it daily. And so if I wanted to see the student from 2 to 2:30 every day of the week, it would put it on my calendar that way. If I only want it weekly on Tuesdays, monthly, and then annually, that type of thing. But I tend to go down to custom because most of my clients I see twice a week. And let's say I want to see this one on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I'm going to have it repeat every week. So if there's a break in there for a school holiday, that type of thing, you would just ignore the actual invitation on your calendar that day. But this is just easier because the normal days are Tuesday, Thursday for the majority of the school year. You can click on when you would like it to end if you never want it to end. If you want it to end on a certain date, let's say the end of the school year, or after so many times of seeing the student, you could do that after so many occurrences. I'm just going to say I'm going to have it end in July. Yeah, we'll just leave it as it is. And I'm going to click done. All right. So notice here where it's used to say recurring meeting or set up a recurring meeting. Now it says weekly on Tuesdays and Thursdays until July 21st. So it has the correct date, start date, the time, and the days of the week. Notice it put in the Zoom link under the location icon here, which is fine. You can just kind of disregard that. You, if you want to join the meeting from this invitation, when you click on it in your calendar, it's got the button right here. You can set up notifications to yourself, how many ever you want to do and how many minutes, that type of thing. This will just give you the idea of the color it's going to put it in your calendar under. I like to do it under more like a red or a tangerine color because they're bright. It catches my eye. Busy and visibility, I'm not going to do anything with that. And then here it lists the details or the description of the invitation, the actual link to the meeting itself, and then the phone numbers a parent could call if they want to use the audio part or join via telephone. This also includes an attachment. You can attach a document to this if you want to send it to the parent along with the invitation. It's a matter of just clicking on the paperclip, and then it'll give you, either you can attach something from your drive or something someone shared with you, or you can upload a document from your computer. That would be where you could attach it there. Okay, now if we go over here where it says guests, that is going to be where you type in the parent's email address. You can only type in one email address at a time. So if you have a group of students that you're working with, you would need to enter one email address, click return, and then type in another one and another one. And it'll give you the list of the emails you have entered so far as you go along. I uncheck these boxes because I don't want my clients to be able to invite other people to the meeting or to see a guest list if I'm trying to keep things as confidential as possible with a group setting. And I'm going to click save. If you wanted to print this out for some reason, delete it, duplicate it, that's where you would do it, is under the more actions. But I'm just going to click save. And it'll plug it right into my calendar. And here it is on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It lists AT for therapy, okay? And it should do that every week. There we go. It's every Tuesday and Thursday. Okay, so now I'm going to enter the meeting. Now you can go to the actual Google Calendar and click on the link, and that's where you would join the meeting. I'm just going to do a shortcut here. I'm just going to click join. Ask me to enter my meeting ID number, which I happen to have right here, and then I can click join. I would like to click join with computer audio because that's what I'm using. You can test your speakers and microphone here if you think something's not working appropriately, but I'll show you where else to check. So I'm going to do that. Now here would be where you would be able to see me. Because I'm recording this, this video tutorial, you're not going to be able to see me through the Zoom camera, but this would be the picture. Either you would see yourself or you would see your client. And usually if you're meeting with a client, it's typically the client's picture that you would see. So let me go back. So the client's picture would be here, okay? I want to go through quickly what each of these things are on the bottom of the toolbar. Let me move something out of the way here. The microphone, where it says mute, you notice it's going up and down as I speak, and that just shows me that my microphone's working. If I click on it, it turns it off, and that it tells me that I'm muted. I get a muted message on my screen as well. So I'm going to turn that back on. Now next to it, if I click on the caret, I have a number of different devices hooked up to my computer, so that's why you see a number of different items for each, the microphone, the speaker. I am currently using my webcam Pro, so I have that's the one that's checked as my microphone. That's the one I would like to use. I also have a document camera as well as a headset hooked up to my computer. So if you only are using your computer's built-in microphone, then you'll probably only have one option there. Same thing for the speakers. I have a set of speakers, external speakers that I have hooked up to my system, and those are the ones I want to use for this. If this is the other place where if you notice that the microphone doesn't seem to be moving, the green color inside the icon isn't going up and down, you can check your speaker and your microphone here. Now it plays a tune and asks if I'm hearing it, and I'm hearing it over my external speaker, so I'm going to say yes. And then it's going to say, can you see your input going up and down when you talk over the can you microphone? And that would be a yes. I could hear myself playing it back. So that would be where you could check it and determine if you have it working correctly or not. Now my camera would normally not have a line through it, but because I'm using it to make this tutorial through a different platform, that's why it's showing it's off. But otherwise you would see a picture of me. When you are using Zoom yourself, you'll see either yourself or you'll see your client. Typically when you're meeting with your client, like I said previously, you will see him or her. I do want to click on the caret next to it though, because this is where you can double check if your camera's not working or if it's not on. This is where you would be able to look and check into if the check mark or the application that's being used is the correct one. So again, I'm using my webcam Pro, but I'm using it for a different platform. So it has the correct check mark. I want to have you pay attention down here to the video settings or call your attention to the video settings. The reason why I'm talking about this at this point is because typically when you're using and sharing a material with a student, they don't always return the remote control of the mouse back over to you. So this is something that you can do to make sure that you're able to gain control again. So this pops up a setting window, and I would like you to go down to keyboard shortcuts on the left-hand side and then click on it. And this opens up a number of different commands you can use that are keyboard shortcuts. And you're going to scroll down a ways till you get to revoke, give up remote control permission. And I want you to make sure that the box across from it is checked and it's blue. And notice the shift control that you need to use in order to use that keyboard shortcut. So it's the alternate key, the shift key, and the G as in goat key. You need to hold all three of those down at the same time for probably a second. And that should break the permission that the student has to remote control or to use the mouse, and give that back to you. And we'll talk about that in different parts of this demonstration. So again, it's revoke, give up remote control permission. You want to make sure the box is checked and jot down the control keyboard shortcut, the keys that you need to hit, and then you can exit it. If you don't turn it on here before you start your session with a student, you won't be able to activate it once you're in the session. Okay, security is another icon here. This is relatively new. You've heard about Zoom having some issues with people Zoom bombing sessions. Besides having a password for the meeting, this is another way of ensuring that someone isn't going to be able to enter your room. So after you and your clients are available on and have met and are online together, you can lock the meeting. So it's just a matter of clicking on that, and it locks the meeting so no one else can join. If you're waiting for someone, let's say you have a group session and not everybody's has attended yet or joined you online, then you don't want to lock that because they won't be able to get in. So I'm going to unlock it for now. But if I were ready and doing, having my session, you can lock it any time during the session, and you can access the security and unlock it any time during the session as well. Manage participants. That would be a list of people that are in attendance of this meeting. Right now it's just me. Otherwise my client's name would be there. If I had a group, it would list all the different clients. You can mute everyone or unmute them if you want. Let's say you're waiting for somebody to join you and you're not sure if they still can find their invitation link, that type of thing. You can click on invite and you can go to email and then use what email you want to. I'm just going to say through Gmail, and it takes me to an invitation Gmail page. Here it lists the link and the call numbers. I just have to type in the email address that I want it to go to and click send, and that invitation will go right out. And so if you have a parent who emails you or texts you and says, I can't find the link for the meeting, then you know what you need to do. So that is manage the participants. And you can control, as you see, the microphone is moving, so I know it's working. The camera's just off for now. If you click on more, it allows you to rename or change a profile picture, those types of things, which really aren't that applicable, at least not while you're within a session. Okay, polls, you won't have that. That's something I set up on the back end for when I do trainings. Chat is something you're going to want to mention to the parent. So if you can't hear them or they can't hear you, they can type in. The two of you are able to exchange information. So it's just a matter of typing in your message and hitting the return button. And then right now it says I have it to everyone. But if you wanted to type a private message to say to one of your clients, you know, it would list the different participants here, and you could click on one and you could send that message. Excuse me. Here we go. All right. So we are going to pop out of this. That's the chat option. I'm going to skip over the screen share for a minute, and here's the record button. You won't be using this most likely. We tend to discourage people from recording their sessions, but check with your district or with your company to see what their position is on that. And you'll also have a annotate and as well as a remote control option on your Zoom toolbar. I do not have that on there right now because I'm not meeting with someone through Zoom, so therefore it doesn't show those options. Let me bring over a document I want to share with you. This is actually a Word document I put together for some of the trainings that I do that just talks about, and it gives you a screenshot of what the screen would look like. So this is the toolbar here that you see, and it has all the same security, participants, new share, pause share. So because of that, I'm using the share option when I took the screenshot, so that's why it shows it. But there's an annotate with a pencil icon and a remote control button that shows the mouse. When you click on the remote control button when you're in a session with a student, you can give one person or you can give everyone control of the mouse. This is what I was referring to before when I said you might have a younger student or a student who leaves their hand sitting on the mouse, doesn't even realize it, and you're trying to use it. When one person has it moving or there's any type of movement at all, that the Zoom platform looks at that as the person that is controlling the mouse and will keep control of the mouse as long as they have their hand on it. So many times I will set it up with students before I begin an activity, just saying we're going to be taking turns. When your turn is over, I need you to take your hands off the mouse. You can put your hands up in the air, whatever you want to say to him or her. And then it will be my turn to use the mouse. So you may not need to use that alternate Shift G command, keyboard shortcut command, but it's nice to have that just in case. This is just the next screenshot. So let's say I gave someone control of the remote, the mouse, excuse me, and I click on it again because I want to get control back. If they're not moving the mouse, you can abort control this way. You don't have to use the keyboard shortcut. But many times kids will have their hands on the mouse or they think they're being funny. They're trying to keep control of it, that type of thing. So then that's when you would use the keyboard shortcut command instead. But otherwise, it's just a matter of clicking on it again and taking back and aborting the control. Okay, so we're back to share screen. And I'm going to go through a number of things with this when I share my screen with you. So if I click on share screen, it gives me all these different options. Now, the only reason it's showing the number of windows it is because of the fact that I have materials open that I want to share with you during this demonstration. If I didn't have anything open or available to use, it would only give me my main two screens, and I have two. One is my laptop, the other one is my external monitor. So that's why it shows screen 1 and screen 2. If you're just using your laptop, then you're just going to have screen 1. First, what I'd like to show you is the whiteboard. So I'm going to click on the whiteboard and I'm going to click share. And the whiteboard is exactly what it says. It's just like a whiteboard. I'm going to skip over select tool for a second. We're going to go right to text at the top here. Now, let me explain too. If you don't see this toolbar at the top for some reason, you can always go down and click on that pencil on the bottom toolbar where it said annotate before. Now it says whiteboard with a pencil. Click on that. You can make it disappear. You can make the toolbar appear. So this is basically the annotation toolbar. So if I click on T for text, it's just what it says. It lets me type in on the screen wherever I click and start to type. Now, the client won't be able to do this unless you give them permission to annotate, which I showed on that previous slide. Next to the remote control permission, the annotation, you have to give permission for that as well. That would give the client a chance to type and draw, whatever the case may be. Once I finished typing hello, I clicked out of that box. You see this box that pops up with the dotted lines or the dashes and the circles. Once I click out of it, I'll type something else again here. Once I click out of it, I can't get back into it. Let's say I wanted to move the hello over or something like that. That's what the select button does. So if you had a shape on the screen or typed a sentence, that type of thing, if you want to move it or change it or edit it in any way, you can click on select, click on hello, and now I can type in it again. Okay. And I can move it around wherever I want to put it on the screen. This is what the select key does, or the select tool. Okay, so we talked about text. Let's talk about draw. When I hover over draw, I get a number of different options, line options to use, different thicknesses of lines, shapes, arrows, those types of things. So that's basically clicking and dragging is what allows you to use these. So if I wanted to draw a straight line, I could click and drag. By the way, the whiteboard works really good for tic-tac-toe games if you want to use that as a reinforcement. You can control like how thick the line is, that type of thing, if you want to do more of a painting or coloring. Okay. The shapes are just basically click and drag, and then you can change the shape however you want by clicking on the corners of it. So let's say I click away from it. Now those circles and boxes that were in the corners letting me edit it, now I can't do anything to it. Okay. So if I wanted to change it, I'd go back to the select button and highlight that, click on this, and now I can move it again. I can change it and edit it. Okay, so now if I want to try to start typing something else or drawing something else, I can't until I switch back to what I wanted to do, the draw tool. Because as long as I'm on select, it's just going to allow me to edit things that are already on the screen. So let's go to stamp. These are the stamps that they offer. There's 6 different ones, a star, a heart, a question mark. So if you wanted the student to, maybe as a positive reinforcer, they can click and put stars and hearts on the screen, that type of thing. Spotlight, it gives you like a laser spotlight or a tool to use to highlight things. So if you want your attention or your client's attention to be directed toward a word or a shape or something you're doing, you can click on spotlight. The other is just an arrow. So if you're typing something, it says your name and it moves wherever you want it to move it to. It's not a sticker or stamp per se. Eraser, this allows you to erase one thing at a time, or you can click and drag. So by click and drag, it's going to get rid of most of the things on here. Okay. Format, this is where you get to choose the color of the font, color of anything, drawing, the typing, whatever. You also can choose the thickness of your lines. Right now I have it on the thickest type of line. And you can also control the size of your font that you type when you do use the typing tool or the text tool. Undo just redoes or undoes what you've done. And then redo does the opposite. Clear, you can clear all drawings. I can clear just my drawings, or I can clear the viewer's drawings, which would be the client. And then save. If I wanted to save this page for some reason, let's say we did a tic-tac-toe and they won and they would like to keep a copy of it, I can click on save and it'll show me that it's saved, and it'll tell me where it is saved on my computer so I can find it later. That would be the annotation toolbar. So I'm going to delete all drawings, and I'm going to close out of the drawing tool, and I want to share something different. So I'm going to stop sharing this, and it gives me that option right above the main toolbar at the base of the screen. Okay, and I'm going to do a new share because I'm going to share one of the materials that I have available and show you how to use it with Zoom. I'm going to show you a worksheet. Okay. So here's a cause and effect worksheet. And what I like to do with this is we can talk about it. We don't have to type answers in, but we can. And I want to show you two different ways to enter information. This is a PDF. And I happen to have a program called Adobe Acrobat Reader DC. D as in dog, C as in cat. I'm not sure if that is a subscription that you have to have. It seems to me it might be. And there's a reason I'm going to talk about that in just a second, but there's a reason I'm bringing it up. So I'm going to use my annotate tools. You can see the toolbar here on the bottom of the screen. I'm going to click on annotate and it opens up that toolbar again, and I'm going to click on text. And let's say I want to use, we're going to do red. So I'm going to make my text red. So we're talking about whatever this question is, and I would have taught cause and effect beforehand, and this page would have been used to practice it. So Tom forgot his math book, so he was unable to complete his homework. What's the cause? So we're going to say he forgot his math book. And the effect obviously would be he's unable to complete his homework. What I want to show you is when I use the annotate tool and I type in the sentence on the page, if I move the page, which I'm going to, because I'm annotating, I have to click on the mouse tool to use the cursor to move up and down the page. Notice the words stay in one spot while the page moves, which is rather inconvenient, especially if you want to have the page enlarged like I do so I can see what it says. A better way to do this, I'm going to erase this, and I'm going to get out of the annotate bar. A better way to do this would be to use a PDF fill and sign type of program or software. Now, like I mentioned, I have Adobe Acrobat Reader DC, so I'm going to click on fill and sign because I have that option on the left, or excuse me, the right-hand side of my screen. Fill and sign, and now watch what happens when we use the tools that come with the PDF, the Adobe Acrobat Reader DC. So if I type in, he forgot his math book. Watch what happens when I scroll down the page. The words actually stay on the page, which is nice. You can make the text bigger with your Adobe Acrobat Reader DC software program, or you can make it smaller. It's a little more user-friendly, I think. All right, so this is how you can complete worksheets, PDFs, and same thing for words on a Word document. I'm going to stop sharing. This is what I would do if I were working with a student. Stop sharing. Okay, and go to, I want to share a video with you. So anytime I'm going to be sharing anything with sound that's interactive online, I'm going to make sure I click these two boxes on the bottom of this window that pops up when I click share. Okay, that makes sure that any sound that comes through to my computer when I'm using a program that's online also goes to the client's computer, so they hear it clearly versus trying to hear it through my speakers and a microphone. Technically, the first time I click share screen, no matter what I'm sharing, I'll click those two boxes, because once I do that, they're activated during that session anyway. That way I won't have to worry about it later. But for sake of showing during this demonstration, I wanted to click on it more when it was more important in terms of being able to hear something. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing this. And let me bring over my other materials here. Okay, so I'm going to click New Share, and I'm going to share my screen. Okay. And I would like to share boom cards. I don't know if you've heard about boom cards, but they're a pretty big deal. They're somewhat interactive. They're neat. I think there are so many different varieties of materials out there. Boom cards, you can create your own boom cards if you want to. You can use free boom cards. You can purchase boom cards. It's all through boomlearning.com. You have to sign up for a membership, but you don't pay for the membership. You only pay for materials that you want to purchase. And I don't recall if this particular activity is one that I purchased, or it might be a free one. A lot of the activities are drag and drop, so the client has to be able to This is where you would give the client, and it doesn't show it on my toolbar down here for Zoom, but it does when I'm working with a client. It'll give me the option to give remote control like we were talking about. So I would have to give remote control to the student so that he or she can click on the words and drag them into place. Now again, you need to teach the skill before you use these types of materials, because these are great practice, but they're very difficult to teach from. So, and I'll show you what I mean. So if I click and drag the word order, that's the correct word order, into these boxes here, I might be working on using the word I, or I can, or punctuation. I think this is working on the words I can. Once I get them in the right place, it doesn't give me an answer in terms of do I have it done correctly or not until I click on the submit check mark on the right-hand side of the screen. There's a little vertical menu here. Once I click submit, it's going to go really quickly and it's going to ding, makes a bell noise that says correct, and then it'll wiggle the words and put green circles around the words or the boxes the words are in, and moves right to the next item. So I would hesitate to just work on this using the putting the words in place and then checking it. I would talk about it with your client and use it as a teaching tool or as a correcting tool. And then you can go ahead and click on the submit button. So here I go, watch how quickly this goes. Okay, so it's a ding. I don't know if you could hear that or not. And then it wiggled the words and then it's off to the next one. It would be great to do some teaching along with using these while you do it, making the corrections necessary. And then maybe as you get through the cards, you can tell by how many cards there are in a deck by looking at the top here. If you can see my mouse towards the top of the screen, it says 12, and then there's a green line showing, and it'll go further and further across the screen until it reaches all the way over for the 12th card. So maybe you practice putting the words correctly in order with the client as you're teaching them, or solidifying the teaching that you've done about using I can, and then maybe you do the last 6 on their own, that type of thing. Or you've already worked on this and this is a session for them, because you can assign boom cards for students to use at home too for practice for working on those skills. So I can cook. Let's see if it takes it without the I all the way in the spot. I'm going to click submit. Yep, it took it. So, and then notice the green bar moved a little farther. So you can turn the sound off too by clicking on the speaker icon that's in the upper left-hand corner. That's boom cards. Check them out. There are a lot to choose from, especially the free ones, which are pretty awesome. People come up with some really good ideas. This is a website called abcia.com. You may have heard of this before. And this is just something you could use for a reinforcer for a student. Could use it for language. What this is, this particular website has this game, and it allows the client to build a cupcake. Now, if you have clients that are using Chromebooks, they may not be able to interact with the material that's online, but you could still have them tell you what to choose. So if I click on this,
make a cupcake.
Okay, so we're going to make a cupcake. And you click on this to start, and it gives you the introduction.
Select a yummy cake from the menu below.
So you can choose the cake, the icing, the sprinkles, and the topping. Again, the client can either interact with this if their laptop allows them to do so. Zoom does, but sometimes Chromebooks have some issues with the interactiveness of materials. And then you can create a cupcake and then save it. You take a screenshot of it, send it to the student. They can print it out if the parent allows them to do that, those types of things. So it's a great language activity. They can describe it and tell you what color they want, those types of things. So ABC, yeah. So ABC and then YA exclamation point. There's a number of different activities on this website. Always double check the advertisements on the sides. Make sure that they're appropriate, and hopefully there's nothing that the kids can click on. They may try to. Typically they're too invested into the activity itself that's not a control issue. This is Epic Books for Kids. If you have a school email address, you can get a free educator subscription. And this is just one particular book that I chose. It's about ducks. They have a wide variety of books. Some are audible books, some books you can read. They also have videos of different things. For example, I was working on a unit about spring and about ducks with a student. So we read a factual book about ducks, and then we saw a video about 3 girls walking around a pond looking at ducks and feeding the ducks, and then we read a fiction book about ducks. So they're great for thematic units. They're great for, introductions, informations. They go by age range and reading level and grade level. So there's lots of ways to choose materials on the site. And just to give you an example of what this sounds like.
Ducks on the Farm by Kyla Steinkraus, York Educational Media, copyright 2013.
Now this is why you would want to make sure that you check those 2 boxes in the bottom of that window, of that share screen window, because otherwise the client won't be able to hear the sound through their computers. I was going to push this ahead a little bit so you can see what the material sounds like and looks like, which is nice because it highlights the words as you go. You can turn the sound off and the 2 of you can just read the words, that type of thing.
Work, work, work. Ducks live in the wild or on a farm.
Okay, so you get the idea of that. That's Epic Books for Kids. I'm going to click out of that and share Highlights Kids. This is another website that's fun to use. It has games and puzzles. And as a reinforcer, sometimes I like to use a hidden picture activity with my students. Now again, if they have difficulty interacting with the material because they're using a Chromebook, you can have them describe things to you. They could tell you to go, which direction to look. You can control the size of the images. So if you know where something is and the student doesn't, if you want to help them find it a little easier, you can enlarge the screen. You can turn off the sound. Otherwise, there's a bell or some type of response noise or sound that you get when you find an image. So for example, if I click on the baseball in the ice cream tower here, it plays like a ringing sound and then it puts a check mark next to it. So this is another activity that I might use if we're practicing articulation. Okay, so the student practiced all the sounds, and maybe there's some things I can find on here that start with the sound that we want to talk about. Maybe the F sound for football, or the R paperclip, wristwatch, things like that. So mushroom would be better. Give you another example. There we go. It colors it in the picture too, which makes it nice. It's easier to see. So, okay, that's hidden pictures through Highlights Kids. Also, if you notice when you're working with a student, there'll be like a smaller video of you in the upper right-hand corner when you see your client enlarged on the screen. If you ever want to switch that, or if you have other students in the group and you want to see one in particular, you can always just go up and double click on the little video icon and it'll swap out that video clip or that person to your screen so it's enlarged. And if you want to do it and just the opposite to make it go back the way you had it, you just double click up there again. All right, well, I hope you found the Zoom tutorial helpful. And it's a lot of fun once you get used to it. You just have to really practice and practice with a friend, a coworker, a family member, even on your own. If you happen to have another laptop, you can log in as the client and one as yourself as the clinician, and so you can see what it looks like from both sides of the screen. I wanted to continue the Zoom tutorial to show you how to use a document camera and connect it to your Zoom meeting, as well as mirroring your iPad. So I'm going to share my screen with you now. This is the screen where you'd either see the client's face or your own face. Again, I'm using my camera through a different platform to record this, so that's why it's not showing my face at all. And it shows my camera as being disconnected or not working. So to share a document camera, you're going to go under the share screen, as you see here, and I'm going to click on that. And what I'm going to do is click on Advanced. Up the top, there's Basic and there's Advanced. Basic is where you have your other windows that you share along with the whiteboard. Advanced is what gives you the option to use a document camera. You can also just share a portion of your screen or just the sound only here as well. but my discussion is about the document camera, so I'm going to click on that and click share. All right, and as you can see, my camera is set up to show you a picture that I have on my desk, my literal desktop. And this would be something I could share with a client to work on language skills, artistic skills, whatever the case may be. But the connection for the document camera, the Zoom is able to link right to it. So whatever I put in front of the camera would show you exactly what I have sitting on my desktop. Here's another example if I wanted to share ways to secure Zoom meetings. That's a handout that I printed out. So it allows you, obviously with the desktop document camera, you can share the material. You can potentially interact with it. The client may be able to annotate on it. At this point, I'm not showing any type of ability to do that, but that may be because I'm not interacting with a client online right now. It's just me using my Zoom program or software. So, okay, so I'm going to stop sharing this. And then to share or mirror an iPad, first of all, you need to have a program downloaded onto your system if you have a PC. Now, if you are a Mac user, I'm not sure if you would need to download anything or not, or if you have the capability of interacting directly with the iPad itself. But for a PC, there are other programs that are available, but I use AirServer Universal. So basically to interact with that program, I'm going to show you, I go into my Microsoft icon in the bottom left-hand corner of my screen, and I'm going to look for AirServer Universal because I have a list of all the different programs that I have on my laptop. And here it shows AirServer Universal. I'm going to click on that, and it just gives me the name again, and it actually wants me to click on it again to activate it. So it's turning on in the background. You can't really tell that it's going because of the fact that you don't really see anything yet. Now, if you notice, it says conflicting application running. That's a normal error message telling me that I already have it turned on. I don't need to activate it again. I clicked exit out of it, but evidently I didn't finish it or stop it the way it needed to be. So I'm just going to say yes. So if you get that error message, you know not to panic. It just means it's already on and running. Now I'm getting a AirServer Universal message on my screen saying that it's on, which is great. If you look down in the bottom right-hand corner of my screen, if you can see it, the icon is a rectangle with the little arrow caret at the top. That means that it's activated as well. Now to have it talk to my my iPad, I'm going to log into my iPad, and then I'm going to swipe down from the upper right-hand corner towards the middle of the screen, and I get a menu. Now you're not able to see this yet. I'll show you in a minute. And it says screen mirroring, so I'm going to tap on that, and then it lists the name of my iPad, so I'm going to tap on that. And now you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. This is the name of my laptop that I clicked on. That's why it has a check mark next to it. It's talking to it now, so you can see the background of my iPad as well. If I want to get rid of this box, I can tap on the screen. And this is the control panel I was referring to. When I swipe down from the upper right-hand corner toward the middle of the screen, this is the control panel that popped up right here. And if you notice here, it has the name of my laptop. When I initially did it, it said screen mirroring. And now it just shows that it's acting, or it's interacting. So I'll tap on my screen again to get rid of that control panel, and it goes right to my iPad. Now, when you mirror something, it is literally just a mere reflection of the actual application that you're using. So students won't be able to interact directly with the app. There's no way for them to click on it, so you're the one doing all the interacting. But they can annotate on the mirrored image if you would like them to be able to do that. This is an articulation application that I like to use it because of the pictures are very vibrant. And I just wanted to show you kind of how it looks when you mirror an image on your screen. That is how you share an application from your iPad onto your desktop to share with your clients. So there are a lot of different applications out there. I use them, as you can see, some of the top names or categorizations that I've used, phonics, language, jumbled sentences, social skills, all different types of applications that I mirror and share with my clients. I'm going to click out of this. And then to end the meeting, I want to just show you, I never did go over this in the main part of the video, but it's off to the right-hand side of the Zoom toolbar. Beyond the annotate or the remote control, those types of things, is end meeting. And you can click on that. You can end the meeting for everyone, or you could just leave the meeting if there's somebody else that's also a host of this meeting. If you're the only host, then you're going to end up ending the meeting for everyone. So you would just click out of that, and it would send you back to the welcome page or the calendar page. All right. Well, I hope you found the rest of this tutorial helpful, and I look forward to providing more tutorials in the future. So thank you again for watching, and take care. Bye-bye.